Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back. Welcome to episode 33 of the Unstoppable Entertainment Show, the most comprehensive entertainment show on the internet. I am, of course, Nate Schaffner, otherwise known as the Unstoppable Nate. How are y'all doing tonight? Or today, I should say, or tonight, I guess, wherever you are. I hope you're doing well. And if you're not doing well, I hope that this show can provide a brief respite from whatever it is that you're going through in life. My one of my goals with this show is to provide joy to you all, and I hope I do that in some way. I do apologize for not being on yesterday. I had a I had a rough day yesterday. I had a long day, and I was tired. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I was tired, and I ended up falling asleep in the chair, and so I woke up and I was like, it's I was just too tired to do the show. So but I am on right now. So yeah. Um, as always, before we get started here, I just want to remind everybody um, that if you want to send in a comment or a question, um, or if you want to hear me, if you want me to pontificate about certain movies or franchises, you can email me anytime at the address listed in the description of this video. Also, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and spread the word and tell your friends about the show. So, I might actually do two episodes tonight because I don't have to be up early tomorrow, but we'll see. Um, okay, so with that all out of the way, um, let's uh, let's get started here. So one of my favorite new filmmakers, he's been in the industry for quite a while, but um, late over the past several years, he's made some very interesting movies. Is Jordan Peele? Jordan Peele has made movies. He obviously has some experience with comedy, but there he's recently made a name for himself in making horror and science fiction movies. And I will say this, every movie that he has directed, I've loved. He's made films like Get Out, which I thought was it's so many genres all at once, and it had a lot to say, and I love that movie. And then he did Us. He did this movie titled Us, which I think in terms of quality was just about um, I think it was Us. Let's see here. So he did Get Out, which was phenomenal. Um, and then yeah, I I I loved Us. So he did Get Out, and then there was Us, and I loved that. And then he did Nope, which is this science fiction film, kind of a western. It's like a science fiction movie that's also a western, and that one's great. So as far as his movies, the movies that he's done are concerned, I've loved every single one of them. And he's one of my favorite new filmmakers right now. But however, there's been some unfortunate news regarding his next film. Um, this uh, this article is published on Joe Blow, published by Tyler Nichols. Let me see here. Um, about halfway down in the article, um, Let me see. Um, Let me see. I'm trying. I'm sorry about this. Oh, I had it here for a minute. I apologize. Um, oh, here it is. So sorry about that. Let's see. Actually, this is at the very top of the article. Um, it sounds like the pressures. This article again is on Joe Blow, published by Tyler Nichols. It's this article a little ways down here. It says it sounds like the pressures of making another quality film may have finally gotten to Jordan Peele, as according to Variety, Universal Studios has pulled his untitled film from their 2026 release slate. Previously, the film was set to release in October of 2024, but after the writers' strikes and a supposed complete creative overhaul, the movie was instead pushed to October of 2026. It seems as though that release date, as well as the story itself, wasn't working for Peele, so we shouldn't expect it in 2026. Um, and then further on down, it says little was known about the untitled project, though Peele himself did say that it had potential to be, quote, my favorite movie if I make it right, unquote. And we can always but assume that it likely would have had a one-word title. Look, okay, so this it it doesn't sound basically this movie is being delayed because I it's assumed that he can't get the script to where he wants it to be, and he needs more time to get it right. Um, and then obviously it got delayed with the writer strikes and that's it's unfortunate. However, I also think in terms of like, okay, I want to get the script in a good place before I start filming it. Okay, that's a reasonable reason to delay something. And uh, after Get Out and Us and Nope, three high quality movies. Um, I don't think it's too much to ask to say, hey, I need a little bit more time to work on this script. Assuming that's the reason. I mean, it sounds like that's the reason. So, I mean, it kind of sucks, but if it means that Jordan Peele gets more time to work on something that he's passionate about, then I think it's worth the wait. So jump in the comment section and let me know your thoughts about this. This next bit of news has to do with yet another video game to film adaptation. There have been a lot of those kinds of announcements lately. And this one is interesting. Um, so, uh, this article is on Joe Blow, published by E.J. Tangerman. Let me see here. Let's see. A little ways down here, it says Deadline reports that Paramount Pictures and Activision, that is the video game company, Activision, excuse me, are collaborating to develop a Call of Duty movie. The game is one of the most popular first-person shooters in the war genre and has been the number one best-selling video game series in the United States for 16 consecutive years, with over 500 million copies sold worldwide. Okay, so a Call of Duty movie is happening. Okay. Um, so let me. Okay, so for those who don't know, I used to be a big gamer. And one, I didn't play, I played one Call of Duty game, I think. It was Call of Duty 2 back in 2006. And I'll never forget this. I remember being in I remember playing the game and being in a watchtower and, you know, uh, picking off enemies with the sniper rifle or and you know the enemies in the game were coming over the hill and I was picking them off with a sniper rifle or maybe it was a minigun or a machine gun or something or anyway I was I'll never forget this. I crashed the game because I had killed enemies that hadn't fully been loaded yet into the game. And I was like, that's interesting. So that's just a little background on my experience playing Call of Duty. Look, you know, video game to film adaptations is one of uh is or video game to film adaptations are some of the most or some of the worst movies ever made. Ever. However, again, lately, there have been exceptions to that. I think a Call of Duty movie could work. Um, Depending on uh, how you do it, and I understand there's too many Call of Duty movies, too many Call of Duty video games now for me to keep track of. Like there's Call of Duty, the Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Call of Duty, whatever, Black Ops. I don't know. I can't keep track anymore. So I suppose and I understand that the Call of Duty video games they all take place in different time periods and different storylines and things like that. So depending on which story that you do and whether or not you want to turn it into a film franchise, I suppose it could work. They could make a series of really high quality war films, and that could be really really cool. And in some cases, they could even get the actors who portrayed the characters in the video game to come and play the real life versions of those characters. That could be really cool. It could be really easy to screw up though. This could be really easy to I mean, this could they could screw this up pretty easily. So but as I'm thinking about it, and I'm thinking about it, as I'm thinking about it right now, it's like, this depending on how they do this, it could work. So jump at the it's there's some there like this article says, it's a successful video game franchise. Maybe they could be a successful film franchise as well. I don't know. Hopefully, this turns out to be uh, a good move. I think it could be. So jump in the comment section and let me know what you guys think about this. So this next bit of news involves one of my favorite actors. So it actually it involves two of my favorite actors. So I'm a huge Jason Statham fan because I know what I'm getting into when I watch a Jason Statham movie. He's kind of like, you know you're going to get just good entertainment that you can just turn your brain off, and just the enjoy it's Jason Statham, and I mean this, and and maybe they're not the same in terms of quality, but it's the same genre. But Jason Statham is kind of reminds me of Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. Like that, and I think Arnold Schwarzenegger has made better quality films, but you kind of with Jason Statham, what kind of movie you're getting, and I felt that way about Schwarzenegger too. I that may be a bad comparison. I don't know, but um, the last uh, Jason Statham movie I saw Wrath of Man in the theater, and I liked it. I liked it. Excuse me. So anyway, so there's this movie that came out recently called The Beekeeper, which I actually heard was pretty good. I have not seen it, but there is going to be a sequel, and there is casting news regarding the sequel. Um, this article is on Deadline, published by Anthony D'Alessandro. Um, this article says Oscar winning actor Jeremy Irons is coming back for Miramax and Amazon MGM Studios' Jason Statham action movie The Beekeeper 2. Um, let's see. In the original movie, Irons played Wallace Westwild. Is that how you say it? Wallace Westwild, a former CIA director serving as the head of security for Danforth Enterprises. Now, I should point out, and I don't know, this is, I point this out because I'm a director guy. Like I pay attention to directors' names. The Beekeeper 2 is not going to be directed by the person who directed the first one. The Beekeeper 2 is going to be directed by someone different. But Jeremy Irons is returning. I love Jeremy Irons. He's a tremendous talent. I first saw Jeremy Irons in a movie called Reversal of Fortune. Sorry, I have something in my eye. Reversal of Fortune with, I think, Glenn Close. And if you haven't seen it, don't read anything about it. Just watch it. It's excellent. But it's Jeremy Irons, Glenn Close, and Jeremy Irons won the Oscar for the movie. And of course, he voiced Scar in The Lion King, which I actually knew someone who cheered for Scar in The Lion King, and I'm like, I don't know if I can be your friend anymore. Because like I understand that Disney villains are awesome, but Scar crosses that line, of just like I hate, Scar's just an asshole. Scar's a prick, But anyway, so Jeremy Irons voiced, and I love the way Scar dies in the movie. Anyway, so Jeremy Irons voiced Scar. He was in, obviously, he played Alfred in the Batman versus Superman, which was one of the few redeeming qualities about that movie, if I'm being honest. I mean, he was in Die Hard with a Vengeance. I mean, he's had a long and storied career, And if I may say so, he's got a very, I love his voice. His voice is so, like, I could listen to him read the ingredients on a jug of milk. You know, it's it's just like that. You know, it's just a very distinctive sounding voice, and I love him. So Jeremy Irons is coming back. I have not seen The Beekeeper. I need to watch it. Hopefully it'll be as good, if not better, than the first one. But it's cool that he's coming back. You know, it's cool when um, uh, you know, they obviously had a good working relation. He had a good working relationship with Jason Statham, and you know, maybe the story called for him uh, to come back, and you know, but it's I think it's wonderful that he's returning, and it's cool to see him be in a movie like this. You know, it kind of, again, it wasn't, you know, he's older now, but it reminds me when he did those when he did Die Hard 3, you know, and it's just like, oh, he's doing an action movie again. That's pretty cool, you know. But I love Jeremy Irons. It's great that he's coming back for The Beekeeper too. Jump in the comment section and let me know your thoughts about this. Let's see here. Moving on. So this next bit of news makes me smile. So I talked recently about how much I loved the new Superman movie. You know, it's very. I think it was very obvious and very clear that the future of this new DC film franchise had everything riding on this new Superman movie, and I think it took huge balls for director James Gunn to be like, you know what? Not only am I going to be am I going to be one of the co-heads, co-founders, co-leaders of DC Studios, I'm going to direct the first movie. So basically he said, look, I'm going to take co-leadership of the company, and I'll direct the first movie. So if it fails, it's on me. And I'm willing to accept that. And I think that took huge balls. And by the way, I think they resoundingly succeeded with the new Superman movie. I think it's the best Superman movie since Superman 2 with Christopher Reeve. By the end of the movie, you know, there's that great shot of Superman looking at his parents, and he's smiling, and I was smiling too. You know, it was wonderful. And so since that movie, we've all waited with bated breath on when and if there's going to be well, mostly when, because the movie was successful. So when there's going to be a second one. And we have that announcement. So this article is on Joe Blow, published by Steve Seig. Let's see. This article says, Warner Brothers is buying into James Gunn's plan for the DCU as the next chapter in the new Superman saga is officially a go. Titled Man of Tomorrow, Gunn has teased on Instagram that the film continues the franchise, focusing on Superman and Lex Luthor, but will not be a traditional sequel. Posting an illustration from DC Comics showing Luthor in his trademark green and purple armor and Supes in his iconic apparel. The image will surely stoke fan theories aplenty. According to James Gunn, Man of Tomorrow arrives in theaters on July 9th, 2027. And all I can say is yes. Yes, this is awesome. This is awesome. I have been waiting for so long to see a live action version of Lex Luthor in that green and purple armor. This is awesome. And I like that it's I like that it says it's not going to... I like that James Gunn has said it's not going to be a traditional sequel. Which leads me to believe that it's going to be... It's how do I want to say that? It leads me to believe that it's going to be similar to this first Superman movie, is in that it will be a Superman movie, but it's also going to heavily feature other characters. And I loved that. I loved Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner. I loved... Oh my God, Mr. Terrific was awesome. It will be very... Okay, so I haven't watched Peacemaker Season 2. I know that I know that Lex Luthor is in Peacemaker Season 2, but I don't know what the context is. So it will be interesting to see how, because I think, at least in my mind, that Nicholas Hoult was... You know what? I'll say it. Nicholas Hoult was the best film version of Lex Luthor. You know, it was awesome. And it will be interesting to see, given how intelligent Lex Luthor is, both in the comics and in this movie. Like, everybody knows what happens to Lex Luthor at the end of the first Superman movie. And I'm sitting there in that theater going, this is Lex Luthor. He's gonna have a backup plan. Like, he's gonna have a plan to get through this. So oh my God, I cannot believe we're finally going to get a live action version of Lex Luthor in that armor. It will be interesting to see how he gets from the ending of the Superman movie to that armor. Like, what's the plot device? What's the context of how they get there? How does, that's going to be cool. July 9th. And from a selfish standpoint, that's from a selfish point of view, that's pretty close to my birthday. So, I'm officially, like, happy birthday to me. So, I'm happy, and the first one was creatively and financially successful. It told a good story, and it made money. So I'm so excited for this. So jump in the comment section and let me know what you guys think about Man of Tomorrow. I love that title too. Man of Tomorrow. Oh my God. Jump in the comment section and let me know what you guys think about this. So this next bit of news is is very surprising, actually. So for those who don't know, okay, full disclosure, I have not seen the Sylvester Stallone movie Cliffhanger. I know, I know, I know it stars John Lithgow. I know it's Sylvester Stallone. I know it's considered an action classic. I haven't seen it. Don't ask me why. You know, it isn't by choice. It isn't by choice. I just haven't gotten around to it. But for those who don't know, there is going to be a remake of Cliffhanger. And it is going to star Lily James, who I adore, and who Lily James was in the Mamma Mia movies. She was in she played Cinderella in the live-action Disney Cinderella movie. So the Cliffhanger remake is going to star Lily James. Excuse me, just a second. It's going to star Lily James and Pierce Brosnan. Pierce Brosnan, who is always wonderful, is always great. So there's going to be a Cliffhanger remake with Lily James and Pierce Brosnan. Now we have news regarding that movie. Let's see. This article is on CBR, published by Lee Freitag. And a little ways down here, it says, according to Deadline, Rocket Science and Thank You Pictures, who are producers on this new Cliffhanger movie, have begun development on a sequel, although it's unclear at this stage whether any of the cast or creatives will be back. So, there's going to be a sequel to a yet to be released remake of Cliffhanger. I'm concerned about this. I have questions about this because it seems to me, look, for me there's two ways to look about this. I could look at it as, the studio thinks that the script for the first one is good and that they think it's going to be a successful movie. Let's do a sequel. Or I can look at it the way I'm personally leaning toward looking at it and say maybe they shouldn't put the cart before the horse and wait till this remake comes out to see if anyone is if anyone is even interested in this movie and if it's successful and if it's any good. Because if nobody goes to see it, then what's the point in doing a sequel? Like, that's where I'm leaning, is like, why there's a and I never do this, and I'm not gonna say what I'm about to say to gain likes or gain subscriptions or anything like that. I'm just a fan of what he does. There's another YouTuber who I love, who does this kind of pop culture ish podcast where he talks about the movie industry, and he talks about uh, science fiction, fantasy, and horror um, specifically, um, and occasional movie news and things like that. His name is Robert Meyer Burnett. And he talks about how when you want to build a franchise, or if you want to build, like in the case of Marvel, if you want to build a franchise, or if you want to build a cinematic universe, because I guess that's the term now. If you want to build a franchise, he always says, and he's worked in the industry too. I mean, he's very knowledgeable so he's very knowledgeable about the industry. But he always says, and Odin bless him, he bangs on it ad nauseum. He says, when you're creating a franchise, don't put your universe before your characters or your story. Your characters and your story go first, and then, depending on how successful it becomes, add little snippets in there to build the universe. But just in case it doesn't work, don't put the universe ahead of everything else. And that's what it seems like what they're doing with Cliffhanger. Like they've already announced a sequel, but the first one, as far as I know, it isn't even done filming yet. I don't know whether anyone would see it. I mean, I will if it's good. But maybe they shouldn't have announced. I don't think they should have announced a sequel before the first one is even released. I think that's a mistake. I think they're putting, to quote Robert Meyer Burnett, I think they're putting their universe before the characters in the story. So, but that's just what I think. I could be wrong. I could be way off. So jump in the comment section and let me know what you guys think about a sequel to the remake of Cliffhanger. So this next bit of news involves the remake. Speaking of remakes, this next bit of news is regarding the remake of Highlander, which every bit of news and every bit of news makes me more excited for this. And now with this bit of news gives me one more reason to get excited for it. One of my favorite actors, by a man by the name of Djimon Hounsou, or Hounsou, I think. He played. He was in Guardians of the Galaxy. Djimon Hounsou, who's like, he was the guy in Guardians. I forget his name, but he was the guy. He was the character in Guardians of the Galaxy, who arrested Star-Lord at the very beginning of the movie, and Chris Pratt, Star-Lord, says, "You might know me by another name, Star-Lord," and the guy Djimon Hounsou was like, "Who?" It's that guy. Djimon Hounsou, and he was in Fast and Furious 7. I mean, he's done everything. The first movie he was in Gladiator, and he was great in Gladiator. The first movie I saw him in was Amistad. He played, I forget the name of the character, but he played, but he was in Amistad, and basically the entire movie revolved around his character and and where he came from, and he stood up in court and give us free, and I loved that, and I that was a terrible terrible impression. But I love that movie, and I loved him in it, and he's done everything. So Djimon Hounsou, um, or Hounsou, is going to be in the new Highlander remake. This article is on CBR, published by Sam Fang. Henry Cavill's new Highlander remake is recruiting even more of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Another one of the MCU actors is officially joining the Amazon MGM production. Per The Hollywood Reporter, Djimon Hounsou is joining the cast of the Highlander remake. And this article goes on to say that details about his role in the Highlander film are being described as an immortal warrior from Africa. Cool. That sounds awesome. You know, I don't think I could be even more excited for this movie than I already am. God, I hope it's good. Because this cast is so awesome. And Djimon Hounsou is one of my favorite actors. He's going to, as far as I'm concerned, he's going to steal every scene that he's in. He's going to be awesome because he's always awesome. This cast is shaping up. God, what a star-studded cast this is. Oh my God. So not much else to say about it. I love Djimon Hounsou. He's been in he's worked in the industry for a very long time. It'll be great to see him in this movie. So jump in the comment section and let me know what your thoughts are on Djimon Hounsou joining the fucking Highlander remake. Oh my God. So, let's move on here to this bit of news. One of my favorite actresses is Cate Blanchett. The first movie I ever saw her in was, I think I've talked about this before, the first movie I saw her in was Elizabeth. And, you know, what can be said about that movie that hasn't been said already? You know, that's all I can say. That movie's fantastic, and she earned she deserved every bit of praise that she got for that movie. I mean, she really did, and she's one of my favorites. You know, I've seen her. She can Galadriel. She did this movie with Giovanni Ribisi that I recently watched. Well, not recently, maybe a few months ago. Hold on. Called Heaven. She did a movie. It was Cate Blanchett and Giovanni Ribisi, and it was directed by Tom Tykwer, and it's really, really good. It's really, really good. That is that is a movie that like myself working in the film industry, I often dream about I often think about, God, you know, what if I were to meet so and so? What movie would I point out? You know, I just watched that movie. And Heaven is that like if I ever got to meet Cate Blanchett, I would say, you know, I watched Heaven and I really, really enjoyed it. And it's this romantic thriller movie. just in case you wanted to know the genre, if it's in your wheelhouse. But I love Cate Blanchett. Anyway, um, this article is about a new movie that she's going to be in. This article is on The Hollywood Reporter, published by Etan Vlessing. This article says Cate Blanchett is set to star in and produce Sweetsick, Alice Birch's directorial debut for Searchlight Pictures. The drama will center on a mercurial woman with a strange and piercing gift, the ability to see what others most intimately need, often at great personal cost, who sets out on a journey home. And then it lists Cate Blanchett's credits, and I watched Carol recently too. Carol's fantastic. What she did one recently. Tar is great, where she plays the conductor, Lydia Tar. I haven't seen. She was in Nightmare Alley, and I haven't seen that, but I need to see that. Anyway, so and she is going to star and produce Sweetsick. This premise sounds interesting. Like, having reconnecting with, setting out on her journey home, reconnecting with your family while also having this weird gift to see what other people need as far as intimacy goes. I think that could really that leads to interesting drama and conflict, and maybe she sees that her family needs her, and that's why she's on her way home. Or maybe she's trying to she's tired of this gift that she has, and she wants to go home. She just wants to live her life without being bothered by this gift. This sounds really interesting, and it sounds that once again Cate Blanchett is going to do what Cate Blanchett does best, and that is play really interesting characters, and she really. This sounds like a great character. This sounds like a great role, and it sounds very challenging. And it will be interesting to see. I hope this is good, like always. I hope this is good, and it will be interesting to see how the conflict unfolds in this story. And it's going to be really great to see Cate Blanchett play this type of role. So jump in the comments section and let me know what you guys think about this movie, Sweetsick. And Cate Blanchett is going to produce the movie as well. So there's even a more personal investment in the movie and in the story. This next bit of news is interesting. So there's going to be, I always love a good thriller movie. There's something I love the tension of a good thriller. Um, I've been on kind of a thriller kick lately. Actually, I just watched Panic Room with Jodie Foster, and that was great. And I'd never seen it before. And then I watched Gone Girl, which blew my fucking mind. Like, holy shit! This character, Rose, played by Rosamund Pike. Like, holy crap! But also, how messed up is Ben Affleck? Is Ben Affleck's character? I mean, not Ben Affleck, the person. Uh, but oh my god, that movie is batshit crazy. Anyway, so I've been on kind of a thriller kick lately. So there's this upcoming thriller movie that has a very, very solid cast. This article is on Variety, published by Alex Rittman. Stranger Things breakout Dacre Montgomery who this article points out is currently in was in Gus Van Sant's Dead Man's Wire. Is set to lead the cast of upcoming psychological thriller Moral Capacity, alongside Oscar nominee Diane Lane, Oscar winner Tim Robbins, and Kingsman: The Secret Service star Sofia Boutella. This article also points out that Brad Anderson, who directed The Machinist, which if you haven't seen The Machinist, don't look it up, don't read anything about it. Just, it has Christian Bale, and he's unrecognizable. To think that Christian Bale went from The Machinist to a year later playing Batman, just from a physical appearance point of view, is batshit crazy. But if you haven't seen The Machinist, oh my god. Anyway, so Diane Lane, Tim Robbins, and Sofia Boutella going to be in a thriller, Moral Capacity, directed by Brad Anderson. Now, this article goes on to say that Moral Capacity follows James Fisher, played by Dacre Montgomery, a man who has everything to lose: family, reputation, and the perfect life he's built, until his affair with his business partner Andrea, played by Sofia Boutella, is discovered by her husband Cliff, played by Tim Robbins. According to the synopsis, James finds himself caught in a deadly ultimatum: commit murder or watch his world fall apart. As Cliff pulls the strings in this destructive game of blackmail and manipulation, James turns to his therapist, Dr. Tori, played by Diane Lane, unaware that she harbors even deeper secrets. That sounds very compelling and very... It sounds like there's going to be a lot of layers to this. Also, okay, so first of all, I know this is going to sound sacrilegious, but I have not watched Stranger Things. Not yet, at least. And again, this is not by choice. There's not enough time, people. There's not enough time in the day. I keep saying, I just need like 3 months of just sitting in front of my TV with like those devices from science fiction movies that just hold your eyes open like this to just absorb everything. So I haven't watched Stranger Things, so I'm not too familiar with Dacre Montgomery. I love Diane Lane, I love Sofia Boutella, and I love Tim Robbins. All three of them. Diane Lane, I think I first saw her in Unfaithful, and she was great in that. And I've been a fan ever since. Um, Obviously, Sofia Boutella is one of the is a well, she's not new. She's a younger up. She's a younger actress. She's a newer actress of a new generation. Um, Obviously with the Kingsman movies. You know, I will say this: did anyone see the Tom Cruise Mummy movie? Okay, let me. I didn't hate it, and I'll tell you why I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it because, and I love Tom Cruise, and Tom Cruise is great in the movie, but oh my God, Sofia Boutella was worth that price of admission. Sofia Boutella made without Sofia Boutella in that movie would have been awful. She made that movie watchable, at least for me. Sofia Boutella was awesome in that movie, and it was. I didn't hate the movie. Like, it was a small pile of shit, right? Um, and the reason it was only a small pile of shit was because of Sofia Boutella. Okay. Now, Tim Robbins, I've loved, obviously Shawshank Redemption, um, Mystic River. He was great in Mystic River. Uh, you know, he was he was it was it was weird. Like his character did okay. Speaking of Tom Cruise, the Tom Cruise, uh, the Steven Spielberg directed an adaptation of War of the Worlds in 2005, which I kind of I like that movie a lot. I think the original War of the Worlds is better, uh, but I liked it a lot. The Steven Spielberg War of the Worlds, and Tim Robbins was in that movie, and his character was weird, and I don't know what it is, but there's something about Tim Robbins that sometimes you just need an actor to play messed up characters. And I don't know. I mean, and I don't mean to sound. I mean it in the best way. Like Tim Robbins is supremely talented. Okay, and he just he has a uh, an ability to just inhabit and play these off kilter characters sometimes. Um, but anyway, so I other than Dacre Montgomery, I love this cast. I mean, I love the cast, but like Dacre Montgomery is the only one who I'm not familiar with. So this sounds really effed up. This sounds really like there's going to be a lot of layers to this. You know, it sounds like there's going to be a lot of twists and turns, a lot of manipulation, and you know what? I think you've got the perfect cast for this. Um, this sounds wonderful, and this sounds like something that I'm just uh, going to be on the edge of my seat with my popcorn going, oh my God, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. You know, like it's going to. This sounds great. This sounds so good. Um, you know, and having an affair, which leads to the other man finding out, which leads to, okay, the man who's having an affair, do I kill the other guy or do I let my world fall apart? And then the therapist, it's, oh my, this sounds really messed up, and I'm all for it. So jump in the comment section and let me know what you guys think about this. So this next bit of news is odd. It's odd. And it's again one of these it's one of these movie announcements that sorry let's see. It was sorry about this. It was one of these movie announcements that I went, why? Why? So, like I've been pointing out on this episode, there are many movies in the world, whether I like it or not. There are many movies out there that I have not seen. And one of them is The Last Witch Hunter with Vin Diesel. I have heard it's pretty terrible. But I know that Michael Caine is in it. And the reason I bring that up is that if Michael Caine wasn't in it, I wouldn't be at all interested. For me personally, I don't know how anybody else feels about this, but for me personally, if I have a favorite actor or actress, I want to see everything that they're in so that I can kind of judge for myself how successful their career has been. Plus, there's that reason, and I also like. I love seeing actors and actresses display their talent. So I know that Michael Caine is in The Last Witch Hunter, and if he and I can say this without hesitation, if he wasn't in it, I would have no interest in watching that movie, to be perfectly honest with you. Michael Caine kept Jaws 4 from being truly awful. He made Jaws 4 mediocre instead of awful. So anyway, I have not seen The Last Witch Hunter. I've heard it's terrible. And hold on just a second. I've also I know that it financially performed poorly at the box office. It lost. It was a flop. It was a box office failure. I think. Let's see. I'm reading this here. the movie made just under $147 million worldwide, and it needed $280 million just to break even. So yeah, the movie lost money. Which, now all that being said, considering all that, it makes what I'm about to say extremely questionable. This article is on Deadline, published by Mike Fleming Jr. This article says, Lionsgate Studios has put in motion a sequel to The Last Witch Hunter to star Vin Diesel in a reprise of his role as Calder, the immortal witch hunter. The film is being developed along with Diesel's One Race Films and Lionsgate Studios, with all parties eyeing a fast path to production. While a deal has not been finalized, Michael Caine is attached to reprise his role as Dolan in the new film. I have so many questions about this. Okay, so here's another thing, and this just makes me laugh. This article points out that Adam Fogelson, who is the chair of Lionsgate's Motion Picture Group, he said this: The Last Witch Hunter has grown since its theatrical release into a global fan favorite, with audiences continuing to discover and rewatch it across every platform over the past decade. That enduring enthusiasm made clear there's an appetite for more stories set in this world. Are you sure? Are you sure? Listen, Adam Fogelson of Lionsgate Studios. Who are you trying to convince with your drivel? Yourself or others? Or both? What? Why? Why? Now, I have not seen the movie myself, but all the evidence points to the fact that it's pretty terrible, and most importantly, had lost a shit ton of money. Why would you make a sequel to that? I don't care. It doesn't matter how many views it gets on Netflix. It doesn't matter how many times people have watched it streaming or on iTunes or whatever. Where were all those people when it was in theaters? I'll tell you where they were. They were sitting at home or going to see another movie, because I can tell you that they weren't sitting in the theater watching The Last Witch Hunter. That's what I know. I sometimes, like, I don't know. Maybe they just want to try again. Although I don't know why. All I have to say is, thank God Michael Caine is in this movie. Again, it's just like he can make. He can make anything go from awful to mediocre at best. Let me just say this: Michael Caine is a fantastic actor, and he doesn't. I don't need to say that, because everybody knows that Michael Caine is a tremendous talent, from fucking Batman playing Alfred to The Cider House Rules to fucking Jaws 4. The man is fantastic at everything. He's been in a few stinkers, but those stinkers stunk less because he was in them. This doesn't make any sense. From a creative or financial standpoint, doing a sequel to The Last Witch Hunter does not make any sense. The movie's probably going to lose more money than the first one. I could be wrong, though. It just blows my mind how nonsensical this sounds. You know, like, if I'm not exactly Steven Spielberg, but if I made a movie that got terrible reviews, lost money, terrible reviews and lost money, why would I make a sequel? I'll wait. So this just doesn't make any sense to me. If it's, maybe I'll see it, maybe I won't. I'll definitely, who knows? It could be the greatest movie of all time. It could be the greatest movie ever made. I just don't understand why Lionsgate and Vin Diesel would do this purely from a financial, like, in terms of a financial investment. Why they would invest in a sequel to a movie that got terrible reviews and lost money. I don't understand that. But anyway, so jump in the comment section and let me know if you think I'm wrong. or let me know your thoughts in general about a sequel to The Last Witch Hunter. Okay, one last bit of news here for today. So recently, Dwayne Johnson, also known as The Rock, who I love. I think I've seen every movie he's in. Yes, I've seen The Tooth Fairy. I was young, okay? We all do stupid shit when we were young. We all did stupid shit, okay? Let's just leave it at that. I saw The Game Plan, okay? Like I said, I was young, we all. Anyway. And I grew up watching. I say to my friend, I say all the time, I grew up watching The Rock on WWF, and I thought he was a big guy then. Now he looks like the guy that ate The Rock, But anyway, but in all seriousness, I'm a big fan of The Rock. I first saw him in the 5 minutes that he was in The Mummy Returns, and I was like, yes, it's all about The Rock, and then, Scorpion King, and then I went to go see The Rundown with him and Sean William Scott, which, by the way, that was awesome. The Rundown is awesome. Walking Tall, and then, San Andreas, Jumanji, he's a damn good entertainer. He knows, he's just I don't know quite how to say it, but he's a very good entertainer. He's, yeah. Anyway, so he lately has tried shifting careers a bit in terms of the kind of work that he's done. He was recently in this movie called The Smashing Machine, where he played UFC MMA fighter Mark Kerr with Emily Blunt. That was directed by, I believe, Benny Safdie, who um, was co-director on Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler. And he Dwayne Johnson has, however you look at him, whether it's The Rock or Dwayne Johnson, he's talked about recently, like he for so long it was almost, and by the way, the Fast and Furious movies that have him in it are the best of the franchise. The I That's right, I said it. The best Fast and Furious movies are the ones that have him in it. Anyway, but he's been on he did kind of a career change. He did this movie called The Smashing Machine, and he's talked about how he wants to do kind of a career shift and pursue more challenging roles, because for so long it seemed like the movie business was kind of like, stick to what you're good at, but he wanted to challenge himself. And by the way, I applaud that. If you have gotten to a point in your career or in your life where you want to challenge yourself and try new things, fucking do it, because Ferris Bueller once said life moves pretty fast. You only get one go around. And I've heard The Smashing Machine is pretty good. I did not see it, and Emily Blunt is in it. And I've heard, but I've heard the movie is pretty good. But I've also heard unanimous praise for his performance. I've heard Oscar buzz for his performance, quite honestly. But I think, how do I want to say it? It seems like he's trying new things with his career, and I applaud that. And it seems like in fact, this article points out that he's going to continue challenging himself. This article is on Deadline, published by Mike Fleming Jr. This article, a little ways down, says writer-director Benny Safdie and Dwayne Johnson are planning a quick reteam in another film, Lizard Music. Safdie will adapt the Daniel Pinkwater novel and direct Johnson in the role of Chicken Man. Let's see. And then this article goes on to say that the plot, it goes on to describe the plot. When a boy left to his own devices stumbles upon a secret late-night broadcast of lizards playing otherworldly music, a hidden door to the extraordinary swings open. His search for answers leads him to the eccentric and whimsical Chicken Man and his beloved companion, a 70-year-old chicken named Claudia. Two kindred spirits who have also glimpsed the impossible. United by this shared vision, they set off on an adventure that begins as a hunt for a hidden society, but blossoms into something far greater, a voyage through invisible worlds, unexpected harmonies, and the unbreakable bond between lost souls who discover magic not only in what they find, but in each other. Wow. This sounds kind of... This sounds like a very... This sounds like a very character-based fantasy story. Um, like there's going to be lots of character. There's going to this sounds like it could be a pretty powerful story about um, human. It sounds like it's going to be like a human, the story of human connection, but it's in context of a fantasy movie. Um, I like that. You know, it sounds kind of very. Um, you know what it sounds? It sounds like. It sounds like a more grounded version of Chronicles of Narnia, if that makes any sense, or like, or going through this other world and this other world, going through to this other world, and the other world has a personal impact on you. It sounds something like that. Um, I like that, and it also um, it sounds like a very interesting, and I mean this in the best way. This does not sound like your typical, like this does not sound t- like the kind of movie that you would associate Dwayne Johnson with. And I love that. I love that he's still doing the more entertaining stuff, it sounds like, but he's also doing more challenging things, like I said. Um, and uh, this doesn't, again, the plot of this movie doesn't sound like something you would associate him with. And I love that. I love that he's doing, this sounds really interesting. It sounds very niche. It sounds like it's going to, but it also sounds like it sounds very niche on the surface, but it also sounds like it could appeal to a lot of people. And it also sounds like people who only associate Dwayne Johnson with a certain kind of movie will be able to see him in a different capacity, a different light. And I love that. This sounds really interesting to me. Um, I wonder if Emily Blunt will come back. That would be cool. That would be cool to see, because I know they're good friends. Um, but this sounds really interesting. Chicken Man and a 70-year-old chicken named Claudia. That sounds really cool. And I know that anybody who's seen lately, I also there's been pictures. I know that if anybody has seen pictures of Dwayne Johnson lately, he has lost an extraordinary amount of weight, and maybe that's for this movie. Um, I know that he lost some weight for the Smashing Machine, but he looks. I know that he said that he has lost. He's lost weight recently, and he has said that it is for a movie role, and I'm thinking this could be it. This sounds really interesting. It sounds like, again, another different kind of movie than you would typically think of him being in, but I love that. I love um, I love that he's doing more interesting projects and challenging himself as an actor. I really do. So jump in the comment section and let me know what you guys think about this. Lizard music. Well, that'll do it for today's episode. Um, let's see. I might do a show tomorrow, or I might do one later tonight. I don't know. But I will. I will be back before Thanksgiving. I will do another show before Thanksgiving. I promise. I'd like to. Like I keep saying, I want to get going it back again to a semi-regular schedule. But I will be back before Thanksgiving. I will do another show before Thanksgiving. I promise. But that'll do it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. I hope my um, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. That's basically what I'm saying. You know, I am not shy about containing my enthusiasm about upcoming projects, as you probably can tell. But anyway, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. My mouth is dry, so I'm gonna have some water here and read read this book here that I'm reading, this science fiction novel by Stephen Baxter called Coalescent. It's really interesting, and I love the genre. And Stephen Baxter is one of my favorite authors. So anyway, I like I said, I'll be back before Thanksgiving. I hope you guys have a good night. I hope you continue to enjoy the show. Please hit like and subscribe. Tell your friends. You know, I hope I'm reaching somebody out there. You know, I don't do this necessarily for the likes or for the subscriptions. I do it because I love movies and I love the entertainment industry, and I've worked in the entertainment industry, albeit briefly, and I love it. And I just have a passion, you know, and I think I just have a passion for the entertainment industry, and I've always believed that if you have a passion for something, you should pursue it in some way. And I suppose I suppose in this way I'm pursuing it. Who knows if I'll get to be a part of another movie, or if I'll make another movie again, but maybe I will and maybe I won't. And if not, you know, I'm absolutely fine with doing the show. I hope I don't bore anyone out there. I hope people continue to listen. So after that bit of rambling, I will say goodnight. Have a good weekend, and as always, I will see you at the movies.